Bethany xin kính chào quý vị khách mời, quý phụ huynh và các bạn học sinh, sinh viên đến với tuần lễ du học Pháp online của trường Istituto Marangoni trong buổi tối ngày hôm nay. Chị không biết là các bạn có nghe rõ được micro của chị không nhỉ?
Có Bét ơi.
Dạ rồi, con cảm ơn cô ạ. Chị xin được giới thiệu một chút xíu. Chị là Bethany, chị là cựu sinh viên của trường Istituto Marangoni. Chị từng tham gia học ở trường tại campus là Milan. Có nhiều bạn ở đây thì cũng có thể là đã biết chị rồi qua quá trình chị cũng đồng hành cùng các bạn làm portfolio hoặc là các sự kiện của trường. Thì hôm nay chị sẽ đồng hành cùng các bạn trong chương trình ngày hôm nay là MC, và đặc biệt trong chương trình ngày hôm nay có thầy là thầy Leonardo Mara, trưởng bộ phận kỹ thuật số và kinh doanh khu vực châu Á, Thái Bình Dương và Trung Quốc. Um, Hello, Leonardo Mara. I would like to introduce you to everyone in the Zoom call today. As Leonardo Mara is the head of digital and sales Pacific Asia and mainland China. Um, và có cô đại diện tuyển sinh là cô Hải Anh, Phạm Thị Hải Anh là đại diện tuyển sinh của trường Instituto Marangoni ở Việt Nam. Um, Trước khi mà vào với phần đầu tiên thì chị sẽ cho các bạn một chút về cái lịch trình agenda của ngày hôm nay của chúng ta. Trước hết chúng ta sẽ đi vào với thầy sẽ giới thiệu một chút về trường Marangoni. Thì các bạn sẽ sau khi thầy giới thiệu xong thì các bạn cứ mạnh dạn đặt câu hỏi. Các bạn có thể giơ tay bằng cách đó là react giơ tay, thì sau đấy là chị sẽ gọi các bạn, và sau đấy là mình có thể hỏi bằng tiếng Anh hoặc là tiếng Việt. Nếu mà hỏi bằng tiếng Việt thì chị sẽ um, dịch lại cho thầy. Nhưng mà chị khuyến khích là các bạn hỏi bằng tiếng Anh nhé, để cho thầy có thể hiểu được luôn và truyền đạt được tốt nhất. Sau đấy thì mình sẽ tới là những cái ngành học và những cái course mà các bạn có thể lựa chọn. Sau đấy mình sẽ Q&A, rồi cuối cùng chúng ta sẽ có những câu hỏi gì sau đó thì các bạn hãy đặt câu hỏi cho thầy. Thì so today the agenda is gonna be talking about Mr. Leonardo Mara will talk about the school and all the campuses throughout Europe and throughout the world. Then there will be a little short Q&A question for all the student here to ask. If they ask by Vietnamese, I will translate it to you. And if they speak English, then just feel free to answer it yourself. Um, and later, for the second part of today, you will introduce about the courses, what the school offer for our students, and also all the requirements that the student gonna need to know, and then a little bit of short Q&As afterwards, similar to the first one. And last but not least, if any student have any question or any requirements, they will raise their hand at the end. So now I would like to mute my mic and let Mr. Leonardo Mara to talk a little bit about the school.
Thank you very much, and welcome everyone. My name is Leonardo, but you can call me Leo or Leo if you prefer the, let's say, British pronunciation. Thank you to Live Vietnam for today's event, and it's a pleasure to see you all. And in the last, let's say, 45 minutes, 1 hour, I would like to give you an introduction about Istituto Marangoni and perhaps giving you a little bit of tips because Marangoni is a very global school. We're present everywhere. I'm going to show a presentation where we also have some videos because, of course, we are fashion art and design school. So visuals are important. And of course, any question you may have, you can interrupt me. I'll be happy to answer them. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you see everything okay? Yes, that's a yes. Let me know if I'm also later, maybe on WhatsApp, if the audio is okay, because I have some videos. But anyway, again, Istituto Marangoni, or Marangoni, or IM, if we want to make it short. So today we're going to talk about the school, the DNA. We're going to focus on higher education. And of course, we're going to talk about locations, because Istituto Marangoni as of now, has 12 schools around the world. So to start, let's begin with a video, which is brand new, and you have an idea about Marangoni.
Istituto Marangoni was founded in 1935.
Istituto Marangoni Dubai. Marangoni Firenze. Campus of Istituto Marangoni Paris. Welcome to Istituto Marangoni Riyadh.
Goditi di questa esperienza perché sarà bellissima. Segui te stesso.
Devi fare verso l'alto. Non avere paura di nulla, credi sempre in te stesso.
Leo, I think the connection is not good.
Can you hear the audio?
No.
No, but can you see it well?
Yes.
Okay. So no worries. I can talk over it. Can you hear my voice okay?
Yes.
Perfect. No, because it's quite a heavy file. This is a brand new video. So that's why I asked about the audio. Anyway, here you can see, for example, this guy here is our alumnus. He's Alessandro Sartori, that studied Istituto Marangoni in Milan, and he's the current creative director at Zegna, which is one of the most important luxury brands, especially focused on menswear. So while the video goes on, with the music that is not happening, you can have a little bit of glimpse, an idea, a taste about Istituto Marangoni. You've seen at the beginning that we were talking about fashion. Fashion is at the core of Istituto Marangoni. But actually, we have branched outside of fashion. So we are a fashion, a design, an art, and even a beauty institution. Beauty in that situation will mean fragrances and cosmetics. So here you can see a little bit and ideas of our fashion shows that are actually made by our students. This woman that you see right now is Stefania Valenti, who's our managing director since basically the last 7 years. And what you see right now is actually Istituto Marangoni in Milan. So this is the latest campus, I would say, first campus of Istituto Marangoni, but we just moved to a very important location in the city center of Milan. This year, we're actually celebrating 90 years of Istituto Marangoni. So Marangoni started in 1935. That is exactly 90 years as of now. Now, of course, if I say Marangoni, Marangoni sounds very Italian, right? If I need to use, let's say, my full pronunciation, I would say Marangoni. But anyway, Marangoni is not just an Italian school anymore. It's actually very, very international, as I will show you later on. So let's talk a little bit, since we do not have the audio. Let's go back to the DNA. Okay. So Italian heritage. Giulio Marangoni was the founder of our school, and he was tailoring the aristocracy in Italy back in the early, let's say, 20th century. So no matter if you might study in Shanghai, in Paris, in Florence, or in London, we keep the same methodology, spirit, approach in every single of our schools. So that is why we talk about Italian heritage. So Istituto Marangoni at its core is an Italian, or I would say a European, fashion and beauty and luxury school. Location. if you're probably interested in fashion, art, and design, you will probably know that the environment is of paramount importance, because you're going to get inspiration from what is around you, okay? So at Istituto Marangoni, we don't simply have the schools in the most important fashion, art, and design cities around the world, but the campus itself is actually located in the most iconic and fashionable district. So, you know, a lot of universities, they will have the campuses that are in the suburbs, very far. But Marangoni, again, no matter if you're in Milan, in Paris, or Shanghai, or Dubai, the school is always present in the most iconic, I would say, area. And this is because we want you to, I would say, breathe, touch, and feel fashion, art, and design every single day at school. So location is important. Then let's talk a little bit about international profile. I don't know, a typical question that maybe students have, I talk to students from all over Asia, is, but I don't speak Italian. Can I study at Istituto Marangoni? And the answer is yes. English is the official language of Istituto Marangoni, no matter where you are in the world. That could be Paris, that could be Shanghai, or that could be Florence. We have over 100 nationalities on any given year. So it's not just Italians. Actually, I would say that Italians are not anymore the major cohort of students. But again, at Marangoni, we're very proud of being very, very international. I think last year we had 105 nationalities on campus. Then let me talk about our, I would say, teachers. A typical question I receive from maybe parents or families or students is, what is the difference between Marangoni and the UAL, for example? My answer is always like this. So UAL or Marangoni, we're talking about very top fashion and art schools around the world, but the teaching methodology is very different. Marangoni, I like to say it is an aggressive institution. And what do I mean by aggressive? 80% plus of our teachers and tutors, they come from the industry. That means that they are either working right now, and then they also come to Istituto Marangoni to teach, or they do come from the industry, meaning they worked before. So I will say that, I don't want to say that Marangoni is not academic, of course it is, but we do pay special attention at the industry. Let's talk about fashion. Everything changes every few weeks or even few months. So we believe that having people that work now or worked in the industry, they will have a better understanding of how aggressive, dynamic, and fast the fashion market is. Let me give you some examples. One of our tutors in Shanghai, Marangoni Shanghai, is actually the previous CEO of Maison Margiela. So these are the type of tutors that come at Istituto Marangoni. Or let's take, for example, the program leader from the business area in London. She worked about a decade at Burberry before coming to teach at Istituto Marangoni. Or let's take the fashion design program leader in Istituto Marangoni Paris. He has work experience in companies like Valentino, Gucci, and Dior. So again, I like to say that the way Marangoni teaches is a little bit aggressive. That's, I would say, is our teaching methodology. People that have been there or are still there working. So let's focus 1 second on locations. I mentioned at the beginning 12 schools around the world. And every year we have more than 4,000 students. I said before, more than 100 different nationalities. So don't worry, you're not going to be fully surrounded by Italians, and that's it. And cross-school experience. What do I mean by cross-school experience? So here you can see the 12 schools of Istituto Marangoni, starting from top left with Milano Fashion, which started in 90 years ago in 1935, up to 2025 this year, where we open in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and we opened the School 12, which is a school happening in the metaverse. What is this cross-school experience, which is a very special, I would say, thing? of Istituto Marangoni. This applies to undergraduate students, so bachelors. At Istituto Marangoni, you don't have to choose one school, one city, one country. But if you want to go around the world while you study fashion or design, you can. So let's say that you like Milan, but you're also interested in Paris. Well, if you go to basically any other school, you will have to choose one of the two. At Marangoni, you don't. Maybe you could do the first year of the BA in Milan, and then year 2 and year 3, you can transfer to Paris. Oh, let's say that you want to stay a little bit closer to home, maybe Asia. You could do the first year in Shanghai, and then you can move to London for year 2 and year 3. So what I mean is that at Marangoni, we give the world at your disposal. If you love one city, you can go there and stay, of course, 3 years. That's absolutely okay. But at Istituto Marangoni, we very much encourage, if you're a bachelor student again, this does not apply to a master's, to actually experience 2 cities. Why? The world is flat. Companies are global, or at least very much international. Competition comes from everywhere. And the people that you're going to meet once you go to Europe, they could be actually professionals in the future with whom you could start a company. They could work in your supply chains. They could be your customers. So the idea of generating a network of professionals around the world is very powerful. So that is what we call cross-school experience. Again, you love Paris, you want to go 3 years in Paris? Absolutely fine. But a lot of students at Istituto Marangoni, they choose 2 cities. Florence plus Milan, Milan plus Paris, Paris plus London, Shanghai plus London. There are a lot of combinations. This will open your mind, will increase the network of people that you know, and they could become probably useful later on because you're going to work. But again, it will give a different understanding of what is happening in different countries around the world. I removed the audio here because it's not going to work well, but I want to give you an idea of the latest campus in Milan. So Milan is the biggest school that we have at Istituto Marangoni. So, for example, a typical question I receive is maybe from a parent from, let's say, Vietnam. Which is the right school or the right city for my son or my daughter? Is it London? Is it Paris? Is it Milan? Well, the answer is not that simple. The answer is there isn't a perfect city or a perfect place. But while you check this video about Milan, let me tell you a little bit on, let's say, some questions that you should ask yourselves. If you like, for example, the idea of going to a big school with thousands of people, then Milan would be perhaps a good choice. Why? Because Milan is the largest school we have with thousands of students. If you perhaps are interested in a more boutique experience, so you would like to go to a school that is smaller in size, then Florence or perhaps Shanghai could be more interesting, because then we're talking about hundreds of students. So you have a type of experience that is a little bit more intimate. But for what concerns the content, the academic content is the same. So if you like fashion design from a bachelor's perspective, what you learn in Paris or what you learn in London or what you learn in Florence is the same from an academic perspective. Why is it the same from an academic perspective? This is connected to what I just said a couple of minutes ago, the cross-school experience. By keeping the course the same in terms of syllabus and content, you have the possibility of going around during your bachelor's. So that's why what you learn is, I would say, the same in terms of structure, so on and so forth, no matter the city where you go. Here I'm showing some pictures about Paris. So actually, in the last year, the 2 newest campuses that we moved to an even better location are actually Milan and Paris. Okay, so these are the newest. Again, a few more tips on how maybe to choose the city or the campus. If you go for size, Milan and London are the largest in terms of size and number of students. If you want a more boutique experience, you have Florence, and Paris is kind of midway. I think, though, to remember is even if Milan or London are, let's say, big schools with thousands of students, the class itself is the same in terms of size. Every class is no more than 20 students. So in Marangoni, we really like to give you actually as a student, a direct interaction, a direct experience with your tutors. So even if we have 80 students studying fashion design at bachelor's level, we will open 4 classes because we like to keep the class small, 15, 20 students. So again, this doesn't change regardless of being in Florence or Milan or Paris. But the idea is that the school and the people that you have around you is different. Then another thing I will suggest you, especially if you're into fashion, is to ask yourself, what are the brands that you like? Are they mostly French? Are they mostly British? Are they mostly Italian? And why does this matter? Well, Paris is the HQ of most of the luxury brands around the world, especially big groups. Then it's followed by Milan and Florence. If your favorite brands are Dior and Chanel, or anyway, you like LVMH group in general, it could make sense to go to Paris because you may have better chances of landing internships, of doing projects with maybe the brands that you love. But without complicating things too much, Cartier, which is probably the most well-known luxury brand for jewelry and watches, is actually working with Marangoni this year with all the schools. So right now, Cartier is doing a selection and a competition among Marangoni students from all over the world. So if you go to Paris, you're not just working and studying with French brands. You might also do that with Italian, British, so on and so forth. But it is good for you to think about which brands you like the most, because if Prada is the brand that you prefer, that you would like to work with, well, perhaps then Milan makes more sense because there could be more job opportunities later on. Scholarships, typical question that we receive. Yes, at Marangoni, we offer scholarships, which are partial scholarships. We don't cover 100% of the fees, but depending on the type of scholarship, and I will tell you a little bit more now, it is possible actually to have a different percentage, let's say, covered. 2 types of scholarships that run every year. The first one is the main campaign that, for example, for the fall 2026 or September, October 2026 next year is open right now. And for this campaign, you don't need to submit extra documents, but you need to submit the documents that are necessary for that particular program. And you will be judged according to the quality of your documents. And you need to apply within a specific time frame. So the main campaign is not open all year, but it's open now until January. And if you apply within this time frame, you have the chance to be selected for part of the tuition fees paid by, let's say, covered by Marangoni. Second type of campaign is more competitive because in this case, actually, we work with real companies that will require you to submit an extra project. So, for example, I remember maybe last year, we did one of the different campaign. It was with Versace. And Versace worked specifically for the masters in the business area. And they asked our applicants to create an analysis, a business study to strengthen Versace in the home country of where the student was applying from. So you had to present this together with your standard application, and members of the Versace team will even double check this. So this is more competitive than, let's say, the normal campaign. But if you win, you have perhaps access to a higher reward. So more work, but potentially more reward. Here you can see a list, I would say, of all the major fashion, luxury, design, and art brands around the world. So these are companies that we routinely work at Istituto Marangoni. If you're applying for a bachelor's degree from year 2 onwards, you're actually going to do projects during your studies. Remember, I said at the beginning that Marangoni is, I would say, aggressive. I mentioned, for example, that Cartier is working right now with all our students around the world for a project. So my suggestion to students is, once you're doing a project with a real company, be very much engaged, because these people, maybe a few years down the road, they could be your potential employers. Marangoni, we have a 91% job placement rate within 1 year. And these are numbers that do not come from us, but actually they come from third parties that have, no connection with us. And this is very important, because a lot of actually fashion schools, they claim very high rates, but these are rates given by the school itself. This number doesn't come from us. It's a third party that analyzes real data. 70% plus of our graduates work in the leading industries, especially in the luxury segment. And about 30% of our graduates, actually, they start their own business and become entrepreneurs. So Marangoni, in the last 90 years, we have been welcoming more than 40,000 students from around the world. I mentioned before, for example, that the current creative director at Zegna is our student. Previous creative director at Versace, our student. Domenico Dolce from Dolce & Gabbana, Franco Moschino studied at Istituto Marangoni. So these are a little bit the high level or top alumni that studied with us. So to conclude, and then of course, if you have some questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I want to show you a video where you can see all the major projects that actually happened in London. I say London, sorry, I just read London, in Marangoni around the world. So you can see here a mix of what our students have been doing in Dubai, in Milan, in London, in Shanghai, in Florence, so on and so forth. So it's a combination of projects with real industries, fashion shows, internship, placements, all with major brands. You can see here, for example, Fendi, which happened in Florence. This is the fashion show that our only best students, because fashion show is not open to everybody, but it's always selected, so on and so forth. So here you can get, again, a little bit of a taste of what happens if you study Istituto Marangoni, which again is a combination fashion show, design shows, and actually working with real companies. Because again, we really believe that it's not just about being good, but in such good industry like fashion or design, being good is not enough. You need to have the right network. So Marangoni, by having these aggressive professionals that stay with you, really want to help you in enlarging, enhancing the connections around you. Of course, while this video finishes, thank you to Leap Vietnam, for organizing this event. And I hope, that this gave you, let's say, a good overview about everything. And if you do have any questions from the end of this video onwards, I'll be happy to answer any type of doubt or questions you may have. And by the way, I will come to Vietnam probably early February. So then, maybe with Pham and the team, if you want to arrange something together, maybe review portfolio, some of you have that, or maybe you want to discuss face-to-face, maybe the doubts that you have between the different majors and programs, we can arrange that, because I'm planning actually to come to Vietnam to be with the Leap Vietnam team in about 1.5 months. Thank you, everyone, and I'll leave the mic to you.